in opposition to this application? I'm going to start right here, the gentleman in the blue shirt. I saw your hand go up first. And remember, give us your name and address before you speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Wolf. I'm a resident of Governor's. I live at 11913 Hazlitt Road, Lewis, Delaware. I'm a member of the Board of Directors. As you know, Governor's is the neighboring community. We've talked about that. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Board of Directors. We oppose the zone change request and the conditional use request for the plans and the project as currently submitted, and the approval of the Sussex and the approval as approved by Sussex County Planning and Zoning. Our concerns have not been addressed by Sussex County Planning and Zoning and the developer. This is the reason we oppose. I'd like to read a letter for this council stating our concerns. The letter applies to both the zone change request and the conditional use revision request. I have copies of the letter. I also have copies of the letter that we submitted and presented to Planning and Zoning.
Yes, there were two letters, one to the Commission and one addressed to this council, correct?
Dear members of the Commission, the Executive Board of Governors Condominium Association would like to provide the following comments regarding the proposed Village Central Residential Community DBF. Oops, I got the wrong letter. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's the one to Planning and Zoning. Dear members of the Council, the Executive Board of Governors Condominium Association would like to provide the following comments regarding the proposed Village Center Residential Community change of Zone 1979 filed on behalf of J.G. Townsend Jr. and Company and conditional use number 2359 filed on behalf of J.G. Townsend and Company. This proposed community lies adjacent to the Governor's community and will share the boundaries, common areas, ponds, and streets. We have several concerns regarding the proposed plan. The Governor's Board of Directors sent a letter to Sussex County Planning and Zoning on or about May 15, 2023, outlining our concerns. The same letter was presented to Sussex County Planning and Zoning on May 25, 2023. We have received no response to that letter. It is our belief that our concerns were not considered by Sussex County Planning and Zoning since no revisions were incorporated into the plan as approved by Sussex County Planning and Zoning on June 22, 2023. We request that the points in the letter be addressed. The primary concern of the Governor's Board of Directors is the safety of our community, residents, family, and children. Governor is a community of 423 homes. Behind me is a subset of that community. More can't be here because obviously it's a working day. The proposed street interconnectivity plan will result in non-residents using Governor's as a cut-through from Kings Highway through the Village Center to Gills Neck Road via Stockley Boulevard and then to Governor's Boulevard. The Governor's Clubhouse, pool, and children's playground is on that thoroughfare. Adults and children traverse this thoroughfare on bikes, foot, and scooters continuously. Increased traffic on these streets creates a danger to our families and children. We request limiting interconnectivity to emergency traffic using a siren-activated gate or other means while still allowing access for bikes and pedestrians. According to Nicole Majeski, Secretary of the Delaware Department of Transportation, and Nathaniel McQueen, Jr., Secretary of the Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security, in an op-ed in April of this year, a crash happens in Delaware roads every 23 minutes. Last year, 165 individuals, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, sisters, family members, friends, were killed on roadways. This tied Delaware's 1988 record for the deadliest year. Victims in those 165 fatalities range in age from 5 to 104. Precious lives lost due to crashes that could have been avoided. This is not just a one-year anomaly. The number of roadway fatalities and serious injury crashes continues to increase each year. We can work together to stop these crashes. Speeding, distracted driving, and impairment are just some of the factors leading to these collisions. In the short time that Governor's Board of Directors has taken over management of the community, we've already installed 8 stop signs and entry lighting to make our streets safer. Increased traffic coming through the Village Center residential community will almost surely make these steps inadequate and to protect our children and adults who live there. We request that the Sussex County Council consider our concerns, in particular the safety of our community, our residents, our family, and our children. I also have the letter from Planning and Zoning that I passed out. I don't know if you want me to read it or if you'd like to look through it, but the first bullet point in the letter that I've just written references that letter.
Yes, you did, and you did give this to Planning and Zoning. It's already in the record.
It's in the record.
Yes,
so I
it
just
is.
Point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person that would like to speak in opposition, I see a person back here in the red shirt.
Good afternoon. My name is Ed Rush, a resident of Governors, 12019 Collins Road in Governors. I'm here for 2 reasons. First of all, I'm here to support the Board of Directors of the RHOA that we just heard from, so I'm not going to reiterate anything that they just said. Second reason I'm here is I work with the Delaware Fire Sprinkler Coalition, and I would like to strongly urge the Council to, as a condition of this development, to require residential fire sprinklers as part of it. As you see from the some of the pictures that were up there, I mean, it's a very nice-looking community, but it's very close together. And I've been a firefighter for 47 years. Within the last few years, the number of fires that have completely destroyed houses, including one here in Lewis a couple weeks ago, it's just mind-boggling how fast these houses burn now because of the lightweight construction, the materials that are used, the materials that are in the houses, and the close proximity to houses from each other. And if there were fire sprinklers required in these houses, which the Council could do as a condition of this development, it would prevent the loss of lives and property from fire. It's something I would strongly urge. I know there's a lot. I know it's been a discussion in the past of whether it should be adopted on a county-wide basis. I would urge. I know that's a subject for another day, but we would definitely like to see that included in the county-wide code. But that there's a lot of misinformation out about that, which I'd be more than happy to sit down with the Council at any point and provide a lot more information on that for another day. But for this particular development, I would strongly urge you have a condition of requiring residential sprinklers as required by the International Code Council and recommended by the National Fire Protection Association. It's a 13D system as a condition of this development. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, I see a hand up back there.
My name is Ann Borders. I live at 11444 Mall Road in Governors, Lewis 19958. And I'm here to oppose the interconnectivity between Governors and this new development. I'm not opposed to the development. I'm opposed to the interconnectivity on the street. If you look at the plan, you see a whole other section that's blank. We have no idea what that is, and I would recommend that that the future use of that plan be told to our community before that road is opened. I would rather suggest that the road not be opened or gated, one or the other. In the memorandum H, that is stated that therefore, once construction is completed, this interconnectivity must remain open to all vehicle traffic for all times without obstruction. That plan, not knowing what's coming, is a hazard to our community. This will be the favorite on ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else, I see someone back there that put up their hand quickly.
Good afternoon. My name is Howard Berger. My wife and I reside in Governors, 12207 Collins Road. I speak as a resident of Governors, resident of Sussex County, and as a former land use planner. And councils, with all due respect...
Excuse me, sir, you're addressing the council.
Council's description of land use principles is incomplete. I fully agree with him that density and highway, the connection he made is accurate. But there are other concerns as well that he seems to have admitted and that my neighbor, Mick Wolf, summarized. Land use planning, proper land use planning, is also concerned with safety. I don't object to interconnectivity per se. We want access to fire. We want access to police. All the things that interconnectivity really are for. But unregulated, uncontrolled interconnectivity presents a safety issue. I don't want my grandchildren, that 10-month-old, that 5-month-old, that 7-month-old, to be exposed to uncontrolled interconnectivity. There are ways to have interconnectivity properly controlled that lets the developer have what the developer wants, but keeps our community safe. I hope you focus on safety in your consideration of approving this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Sir, we've got one coming up behind you.
Hello, my name's Garrett Hughes. I live at 12007 Collins Road in the Governor's community. I'm a board member of the HOA, and the overreaching concern, as you've already heard a couple times, is safety. But one thing that we haven't spoken to is by allowing public traffic on a private road puts the onus of the cost of maintenance on the HOA and thus the residents of that area. So I'd like to consider, you guys to consider the implementation of controlled traffic of some sort, certainly for emergency vehicles. That's pretty much what I had. Thank you.
Thank you. And sir, up here front.
Hi, my name is Thomas Blair. I live on 11879 Haslett Road in Governors, and I share the concerns of my neighbors about safety, and I'm not really opposed so much for that. There are things that I don't like about this thing. I mean, I wanted there to be a moratorium on building the second my house was built, like everybody else. But the thing with safety, I have a different take on the safety that no one's addressed yet. And the thing is, I have a little bit of a different experience. I moved here 2 years ago. I was a TV news cameraman for 40 years. And I saw a lot of tragedies, plane crashes and train crashes, derailments, building implodements, all kinds of things. And one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life that haunts me, actually, is Breezy Point. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. But when Hurricane Sandy hit, there was a little seaside community, much like Governors. Seaside community, high winds. It was a gated community, which ours isn't yet. But what happened was when Sandy hit and the floods came in, You have a flood. First of all, there's a flood problem here. We haven't had a bad one since '63, but 100-year storms happen every 10 years now. So it's something to be concerned about. But I'm not even concerned about the flooding. What happened is when Sandy hit, it dislodged the foundations. I don't know how. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a firefighter, but fires started. And when these fires started, the winds took it, and it wiped out 110 homes. And these people couldn't get out of there because they didn't have the access roads, and everybody wanted to live in their little gated community, and everybody thought they were better than everyone else, and that, they didn't want to play nice with their neighbors and have the traffic. But honestly, it was absolute devastation. And you can look it up on Google. Look at Sandy Point and Sandy, and you can see what I'm talking about. I mean, just some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. I think people are generally, I've done a lot of these council meetings as well. I'm shooting them over the years. And I think I've found that people are generally nice, but they're also two things. They're neophobic. They're afraid of change, no matter what it is. I've done situations where people are up in arms about a supermarket coming into a community, and I've been in situations where they're protesting a supermarket being removed from a community. The biggest example I could think of is in Queens, there used to be these things called Elmhurst tanks. There were these tanks that were about 20 stories tall. They were rusted. They were eyesores. They were a blight to the community. They said Elmhurst on them. So one day Exxon decided we're taking these things out. There was an uproar in the community about them removing, well, that's part of our identity. We're Elmhurst. So, I mean, it gets ridiculous sometimes. And we're basically, other than the name that the builder puts in the front of your community, we're basically all the same. I mean, none of us are senators. None of us are governors. No one has an hawk's eye. People wear glasses. It's just ridiculous. So I'm on the side of safety. Please leave the access roads open so you can get the hell out of Dodge in case there's a real emergency, because it's devastating. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? There's a hand up right over here. Yes.
Hi, my name is Debbie Murray. I live at 31309 Temple Road and a member of Governors. So a little pushback on the word urban. If you come through our community, it's the last word you would use to describe us. We're not against new neighbors. I'm part of the problem. I'm only there 2 years. I get it. We're not going to have a cornfield. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it's going to be. The problem is the word cut through. And I want to know, who wants it? I know it was in the plan, but no one I've spoken to, from Temple Road to downtown Lewis to the Acme a week ago, nobody is interested in the cut through. And as soon as I explain to people, we're not a gated community. We don't want to be a gated community. We didn't buy in a gated community. Access roads should be available for emergencies. Our entrance on Gills Neck welcomes everyone, including the people that occasionally cheat and go visit our pool. We're not gated. We're not bad neighbors. We don't want to be a cut-through. Our interior roads are 21 miles an hour. I have a little experience in this. The neighborhood I came from was by the high school, much like I am here. And we pushed back because in the morning we were a cut-through. People couldn't even walk their dogs. I'm not even exaggerating. So I know what I'm talking about. I moved into a neighborhood because I wanted the protection of interior roads. I want to be able to get on a bike, walk a dog on a leash, push a stroller. So we're welcoming our neighbors. We're welcoming you to be the professionals to make sure everything is done properly. But as a neighborhood, we do not want to be a cut-through. And I really don't think that's a lot to ask. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. There's a gentleman's hand up in the back.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Paul Capriolo. I'm also a resident of Governors at 31611 Carvel. And I'd like to enter an amended comment that I posted to the website yesterday into the record with some additional points based on what we heard today from the developers' representatives. I unlike some of the comments here, stand in strong opposition to the proposed development of Mitchell Farm here in Lewis. Just because we can doesn't mean that we should. Surveys, estimates, and analyses are not reality. Master plans are not sacrosanct. And once we go forward, we can never go back. There are several reasons why this development should not proceed, and I urge the council to consider these points carefully. First, overcrowding concerns. The proposed development would only contribute to the existing problem of overcrowding in nearby public areas. Parks, recreational facilities, and public spaces are already strained due to the influx of residents and visitors. I know I'm part of the problem. I'm new to Governors. By preserving the farmland, we can alleviate this strain and ensure that our community resources remain accessible and enjoyable for everyone. In the few years I've been here, I've seen things get harder and harder, harder to get on the beaches, harder to get around in just the last few years. And we heard a lot about density precedents today, but the only precedent that I see on that parcel is 0. Another point I'd like to make is traffic concerns. It is an imperative to address the existing congestion on Kings Highway before approving new development. Currently, as my neighbors know, this area suffers from daily gridlock. Every time the high school lets out. Today, 10 minutes I was driving here, I could still see my house because I had to wait 3-4 times through the light. We will only exacerbate the problem. It is crucial that we prioritize infrastructure improvements and address traffic issues adequately before adding further strain on our roadways. Of course, this would be a cut through to anyone going on Gill's Neck. If you drive in that area, you know. I would cut through to Kings. I would cut through to Gill's Neck. I know my neighbors would as well. We also heard that this is a principal and arterial road. That only makes it more important to alleviate the traffic before we continue to build, and there's already a number of ongoing projects on Kings Highway. And the beauty of the area. One of the defining features of Lewis is its natural beauty and the open, preserved land that surrounds it. The charm and character of our community are intrinsically linked to the scenic views and landscapes. Allowing the development of this farmland would erode the very essence that makes Lewis such a desirable place to live, visit, and enjoy. Today we were told that this is the character of the area. I strongly disagree that the character of Lewis is a shopping center and multifamily homes taking away our precious and historic farmland. The environment. The farmland under consideration serves as a vital habitat for wildlife. I see it every day, including migratory birds and majestic creatures like bald eagles. This area is not only a home to these species, making it potentially illegal to disturb their habitats, but is also a designated wellhead protection area. I read the environmental study, but I and others have photos of bald eagles hunting and feeding on this land. I actually brought one today, and I entered it in the record as well. There's thousands of these beautiful snow geese that migrate into that farmland, and it's beautiful when they fly up and they circle around. It looks like a cloud. And the bald eagles perch on the townhomes and on the construction sites, and they hunt right there. The community's love for Lewis. Residents and visitors are drawn to Lewis because of its unique character and natural surroundings. People come here seeking refuge from urban sprawl and overcrowding. By allowing the development of farmland, we risk sacrificing the very qualities that attract people, including myself, to our community. Let us preserve the aspects that make Lewis special and continue to be a destination of choice for those seeking a close connection with nature. And preservation of our traditions. Lewis has a rich heritage and long-standing tradition of valuing and preserving its agricultural roots. The development of farmland goes against the very fabric of our community's history and traditions. It is essential to honor and protect our cultural heritage by safeguarding the remaining farmland that is integral to our local identity. 3 years ago, as you know, the City of Lewis, the Lewis Board of Public Works, and Sussex County bought Jones Farm just across the street, literally 20 feet away from this parcel. Then Councilman Burton said, quote, "We must work together as a community, collaboratively, if we want to preserve open space for the community to enjoy now and for generations to come." Lewis Board of Public Works Chairman said, quote, "Its preservation will protect a meaningful portion of the precious groundwater recharge area adjacent to BPW's well field that supplies high-quality water to the citizens of Lewis and the surrounding area." And then Lewis Mayor Ted Baker said, quote, "The acquisition of Jones Farms represents a major step forward in the preservation of open space and the protection of the city's water supply. The strategic location of this property along the historic Lewis Scenic Byway will serve as perpetual recognition of the agricultural heritage of the lands surrounding Lewis. The city is proud to be a partner in the significant effort to preserve open space. I simply ask, what has changed?" We heard a lot of talk about precedents and about master plans and comprehensive plans. And in my opinion, it's past time we take a hard look at the buildup of Lewis and reassess our plans. What are our principles and values? What do we want Lewis to be in 10, 20, 50 years? What do the residents want? We have precedent of responsible decision-making that prioritize conservation over short-term gains. Let us learn from these examples and make a choice that will have a lasting and positive impact on our community. Once we go forward, we can never go back, and I strongly empathize the difficult and immense responsibility of the council. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Sir?
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Rafitz. I'm a resident of Governors. I hope after I'm done speaking, some of my fellow neighbors will still have me over for burgers. I do want to offer a little bit different perspective in terms of what you all are faced with. I think we all know that the reality is that the road's going to be put in, that the development's going to move forward. The development's smart. It's for sale product. The density's the same as what we have in Governors. And it makes sense. It makes sense. The thing that I continue to hear from our fellow neighbors is the concern about the traffic. I have a grandson who's blind, so I have the same concerns that our other fellow neighbors do too. I think our smarter thing to consider is how do we deal with the traffic that's going to come through? And I think there's ways to manage that. We've already started doing that. One of our neighbors mentioned that we've posted speed limit signs. We've reduced the speed limit in our neighborhood. Well, that's because our neighbors are speeding. And so that, that's just a reality we're facing. And so we've put in stop signs, and those things are all smart. I do think it's realistic that, and I've been at other hearings where other neighborhoods are dealing with traffic and speed, and maybe we think about speed bumps. And maybe we talk with Townsend about when you're developing, before you open that road, let's talk about putting speed bumps through our main road that goes over to Gill's Neck. I have a good suspicion that they would probably work with us. And so the speed bumps, in my opinion, is a realistic way to address what's coming. And so to our fellow neighbors where we are against development, we're part of it. We're part of development. So I think the interconnectivity is a good concept. I think it's realistic that it's going to balance the road. We all don't like going by the school. Well, guess what? When that road gets put in, we will go out to Clay and we will bypass the school. And so there's benefits to us. There's things that emotionally that we're really against, and I get that, but I'm a realist, and I think the smarter thing for us, and I would encourage the council, I'm not sure how it works, but I think it's realistic. The developer has been reasonable, and that we talk to them before they open the road. Let's put in speed bumps in our development, because I honestly think that's our only method to make this work. So appreciate the thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to speak? I see one hand here.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Kathy Giles. I live at 12413 Dickinson Court in Governors, of course. My concern is the sewer plan. From what I understand, it's going to flow from this new community back into Governors to the pump station, which resides on Dickinson, I do believe. We've had issues with that already. In February, it was down for 3 days. They had to bring in pumps or generators, or I'm not sure of what, but it was an issue. So I would just like you to be concerned about that and make sure that you look into it, that there's not going to be an issue, along with the fact that we're going to have not only a village of townhomes, but commercial areas. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Is there anyone else like to speak? Okay. The hammer was getting ready to go down.
Well, without repeating, my name's Laura Wolf. I live on Hazlitt Road, 11913 in Governors. I, too, believe that the interconnectivity is going to present a big safety concern to our grandchildren, our children who are learning to ride bikes and scooting down to the pool, so enthusiastic they don't even look both ways. And I had a very traumatic experience, too, as a dietitian. Back in New York, I had a patient that was admitted into long-term care, and I was responsible for doing the tube feed for this patient. He could no longer speak, he couldn't walk, he was paralyzed, and that was as a result of riding his bike and being hit by a car. So when I ride my bike, I'm very specific about which roads I go on, I'm very specific about staying on the bike path, and one other item that I would like to mention about interconnectivity, why is it that Wolf Run, Hawkeseye are self-contained with emergency access for vehicles and Governors doesn't get the same consideration? I do believe in having emergency access, fire trucks, ambulance, of course, but there are ways to do it with a siren, and I hope that the council will consider that for the safety of our children and grandchildren. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
I think I saw one more hand back that went up the same time. Was there? Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone else? Seeing none. Operator, can you tell us if there's anyone listening remotely that would like to opine on this matter?
At this time, there is no one on the line.
Okay, thank you. Mr. President, this time we can close the public hearing on this matter. If council desires to close the public record, and I see Mr. Whitehouse raising his hand.
Mr. Moore, if I could just correct an earlier number. At the beginning, when I read all of that information and those numbers, I believe I reported there was 19 comments in the record. Just to clarify for the minutes, it's actually 42 comments that are in the record, just in case anyone was concerned with the lower number. It is 42, as on the screen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else? We'll close the public hearing. So give the council a close public record. Ask Mr. Moore to read the short title.
Okay.
Of the change of zoning.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. An ordinance to amend the comprehensive zoning map of Sussex County from an AR1 agriculture residential district to an MR medium residential district for a certain parcel of land lying and being in Lewis Rehoboth 100, Sussex County, containing 25.56 acres more or less, based on the reasons heard today, plus the reasons given by Planning and Zoning numbered 1 through 8.
I think that would be a reasonable request.
Motion?
Yes, sir.
Motion, Mr. Shaver. Second?
Second.
Mr. Hudson? Turn the microphone on. Motion, Mr. Shaver. Second, Mr. Hudson, to defer on change of zone 1979. Any questions on the motion? Take the vote, Mr. Shaver.
Yes.
Mrs. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Hudson.
Yes.
Mr. Riley.
Yes.
I have the motion carried. Next, Mr. Moore.